Hi everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul and today we have a special guest in the studio. This is Matt from NETGEAR. How's it going, Matt?
Hi Paul, it's good to be here.
Good to have you with us and thank you for bringing these products. What we're actually going to be talking about today is the NETGEAR ReadyNAS line of network attached storage devices.
Yep.
So why don't we start off from the basics, because while I know a lot of our viewers are familiar with NAS devices, some might not be. So Matt, could you sort of in a nutshell explain what a NAS is and what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think most people are familiar with the storage that they have either on their PC, their tablet, maybe on their smartphone. Mm-hmm. In many cases, people have found they got so much data coming in, whether it's new photographs, whether it's new programs, different things, that they've gone to kind of a USB attached device. Mm-hmm. Well, what a NAS allows you to do is kind of soup up that experience. Essentially, a NAS is, as you said, network attached storage. Mm-hmm. So it plugs right into your home network, maybe into the router. Once it's attached, you can then store all of your files directly to that NAS. You can also share them amongst multiple devices. So maybe your laptop and maybe your wife's laptop, your child's tablet, what have you. Mm-hmm. Everybody can access all the same files in one place. Then they can, they can store in one place. They can then access to their individual devices as well. And one of the great things is it works across Mac, PC, and even Linux devices. So in our, increasingly almost technology segregated world, no, I'm a Mac guy, no, I'm a PC guy, this is kind of one common point of commonality where everyone can use the same device on their network.
It is a great unifier.
Exactly.
Now we're talking about what a NAS can actually do. So if you already have a router at home, plug it into that router, and on your local area network at home, you've got network attached storage. So you got massive amounts of storage available in this little device. Now, there's a few different products in this actual line. So ReadyNAS, you guys actually, if you follow network attached storage devices, has been out for quite some time. It's been quite successful, you might say, actually, as well.
It has, yeah. There's an organization of analysts in the technology world, Gartner. They just about 3 weeks ago published their kind of market share standings for 2012, mm-hmm. and for the third straight year, there's no vendor in the world that actually shipped more NAS boxes than ReadyNAS. So we're proud of that, right. But it also puts a lot of responsibility on us to continue to innovate and create products that our customers want to continue to use and buy.
Keep pushing the envelope to bring the latest
exactly.
technology. Now, so this is sort of a new line of ReadyNAS devices, and we have sort of some segmentation to make it a bit simpler to decide what might suit your needs the most. Mm-hmm. And we're actually going to be talking about this in a couple different contexts. We have home use, so if you're at home, you need someplace to store your data where you can access it remotely. You need backup features so you know that your data is safe. And then you might also be a business user. If you have a small business, if you work from home, or maybe just a smaller office configuration, this could also service in that area. But we have a few different models, so let's talk about the product stack. The one right here, this is the 100?
This is the 100 series. It's actually the 102.
Okay.
Yeah, and so for those that have been familiar with ReadyNAS in the past, we had our Duo MV Plus, our Ultra, and our Pro series mm-hmm. of desktop models. We've found that it would be easier for our users if we made things a little bit, used naming that was a little bit easier to understand, a little more common. So now we have the 100 series, the 300 series, and the 500 series.
Okay.
Another way to look at that is fast, faster, and fastest. Because at the end of the day, what we've done with the new ReadyNAS is we have standardized the operating system across the entire platform. Okay. It's ReadyNAS OS 6. What that means, and we'll get into the features a little bit later, but all of the features that you find on the, for instance, the 500 series are the same as what you find on the 100 series. Okay. So common operating system, but the difference is really processor speed. So 100, a little bit, as I say, fast, faster, and fastest up to 500. Mm-hmm. When it comes to network attached storage, processor speed really results in higher kind of I/O speeds. Okay. It also means that you can support more concurrent users or concurrent streams. So the way we have basically segment the products is the 100 level is good for up to about 5 concurrent users. So as you say, perfect for a home type environment. The 300 series can scale up to about 25 concurrent users, and then the 500 goes as high as 250. And I think it's important to note when I say concurrent users, I could have an office of maybe 1,000 people, but as long as not everyone's going to need to access the storage at the same time. So As long as you're not asking for more than 250 concurrent users at one time, you'll be okay.
Okay, and so that's just to essentially make sure, like, if you're in a small office and you get the 100 series, you might have 20 people trying to access the data. You want that to be a fast, responsive experience. So in that situation, you might want to jump up to the 300 series. 100 series, great for home use, and most home users, you're not going to have more than maybe 3, 4, 5 people trying to access at the same time. And that kind of actually, let's talk a little bit about the feature set.
And real quick before we kind of make that jump, so if I'm looking to buy a NAS either for my home or business, there really are two questions that I want to ask. How many concurrent users, which we've talked about, processor speed, fast, faster, fastest. The second is then capacity.
Oh, yes.
And so the other kind of vector, other than processor speed, where our products differentiate from one another, is the number of bays. So what we have here is the 102, so that's the 100 series. The 2 represents 2 bays, which means that it can hold 2 drives. We also have 4-bay machines, and we also have 6-bay machines. So again, how many concurrent users are going to be pinging the box at any given time, and then what are my raw kind of storage needs? Okay. Each bay can support up to 4 terabytes per bay. So a 2-bay box, you're looking at 8 terabytes of total capacity. One other thing maybe worth mentioning, and we can talk more on when we talk more kind of business applications, we also have an empty 5-bay expansion chassis called the EDA 500. That works with the 300 and 500 series and adds an extra 20 terabytes of capacity. So again, I want a NAS. I need to understand processor speed. I need to know just what my raw storage needs are going to be as well.
You've got some expansion capabilities as well, even outside of the box that you might originally purchase. Now let's talk a little bit about actually diving into obtaining a NAS, because this is the type of technology that, if you've heard about it, maybe falls more in line with, like, well, that's what businesses use. That's enterprise level stuff. And in the past, actually having a device that can do this has been somewhat cost prohibitive. So what has NETGEAR done with these series of ReadyNAS devices that actually might make it a bit more accessible for, say, a home user to jump in and purchase one?
Yeah, so what we've really tried to do with our NAS offering, there's a lot of talk these days about the cloud. Moving to the cloud, and from a consumer standpoint, people using services like SugarSync or Dropbox or different things like that. In talking to customers, what we've really found is what people are looking for is that cloud experience. I want to be able to access all of my data, whether it's my photos, whether it's my business, whatever it is. I want to be able to access everything, anywhere. And by anywhere, I mean I could, geographically, I'm here, I'm on vacation, what have you, or on any device. And that could be, I want it on my smartphone, I want it on my tablet, I want it, when I'm sitting at my desktop. So what we're really trying to do with ReadyNAS is to provide that cloud-like experience. But unfortunately, there are a few drawbacks to a pure cloud experience. One, you're generally paying a subscription fee, which is an ongoing cost. And 2, you're trusting somebody else with your data. With ReadyNAS, basically all of your data sits on the box. You know exactly where it is. It's next to your desk. It's in your business. You don't have kind of those ongoing costs, but everything else is handled in sort of that cloud-like way. You can access it anywhere, anytime, and from any device. So when you ask about cost, that's one thing that we're trying to do. It's one simple upfront cost, which is lower than it has ever been before for a NAS device. And you don't have any of that ongoing, it's $20 this month and $20 the next month and things such as that. The next kind of component of what we're doing, what we're trying to address from a cost standpoint, is a lot of the cool technologies, the things like snapshots, which we can talk about, or offsite replication, or even antivirus on the box. These are all technologies that are commonplace in business environments, but my data, my photos, my videos, that type of thing, they're just as valuable to me as business documents are to a business. And so we're trying to, because we've standardized on the common operating system, same features in the home box as the business box, we're trying in a cost-effective way to give users, no matter what type of data they're using, the same benefits as the large businesses have when they're protecting their information and their data.
Okay, so now we mentioned home use, business use. Let's kind of focus on home use.
Sure.
For a moment. If I had a ReadyNAS, let's say I got the 102 like this one here,
Yep.
and I take it home and I plug it in. What is my initial setup going to be like? Do I need to go in and configure like a port on my router or something like that to get everything set up right, especially if I want to access it remotely? What is the setup and configuration like?
Yeah, so a lot of what you just explained was what we kind of look at as the old NAS experience, and it could be really intimidating. I have talked to friends before, and I've kind of explained, hey, wouldn't you love to have all your data in one place and access it from anywhere? And they've gotten all excited. Yeah. Then they ran out and bought a NAS, and they said, oh, just threw their hands up in the air. I couldn't get it set up. What we really wanted to do on the home, with that home experience, was to take the complexity out of it. We've introduced a new platform that we call ReadyCloud. Now, ReadyCloud is not cloud in the sense that you store your information somewhere else, but ReadyCloud is an online portal for both setup and ongoing management of the files that sit on your existing box. So to answer your question, I mean, the unboxing experience is so straight. It is incredibly easy. It's as simple as taking the box out of the packaging. Once you do that, there's a Ethernet cable that you connect from your router into the back of your box. You power the box on by plugging it into the wall. Now you're essentially up and running. All you do is go to any device, any web-connected device on your network. So that can be your tablet, that can be your PC. You type in readycloud.netgear.com. You go to one simple URL. Screen will pop up. Have a picture of your device, and the only choice that you have to make at that point is a button that says Discover. With one simple click of Discover, it pops up and says, here's your serial number, here's your device, would you like to proceed with setup? So yeah, those days of knowing your IP address, those days of opening up ports, all of that is completely gone.
Excellent. So really easy to get set up and running. I imagine there's also some maybe more detailed configuration options that you can do once you actually get into the GUI. Yeah,
absolutely. So I mean, not to oversell the whole concept of ease of use, but I actually installed the NAS for my parents. They're a little bit older, not as comfortable with technology. When it arrived, they kind of opened it up, and I happened to be at Starbucks at the time. My dad called and said, hey, I'd really like to get this up and running, what do I need to do? I said, no problem. I had my iPad with me. I was able to bring up readycloud.netgear.com on my iPad at Starbucks, 50 miles away from where he was located. I went through the setup process. All I needed from him was a serial number. He gave me the serial number. I clicked Discover. There's one button here on the front that's basically for security purposes that he had to push. Once he did that, we were up and running on the box. So it's even so easy that you can do it remotely for other people. From a business standpoint, that also becomes nice if I'm trying to deploy. I'm a school district trying to deploy 10 of these to 10 different schools, and I don't have the time to go back and forth to each of those.
Excellent. So continuing with the home use scenario. Setting it up obviously has become much easier than it has been in the past. Let's talk about actual use case. So I have personal stuff at home. I have pictures. I have movies. I have music. I guess primarily we're talking pictures and movies that I've recorded personally that I never ever want to lose. And these are the types of things, they're irreplaceable. So having them on this box, we've already talked a little bit about the consolidation of your data. You don't have a bunch of USB drives or storage on multiple different computers in your home. You get it all here in one place so that everyone can come in and access it. What about, let's say, data security? What sort of reassurance do I have that my data is going to be there no matter what?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. I do think it's interesting, when we talk about the types of data we have, it is a lot of media, it's a lot of songs, it's a lot of photos, it's a lot of video. But I think increasingly we're seeing a blurring between each individual's sort of business life and their home life. So even, I mean, it seems like people, change jobs frequently. So we almost want to have a full library of all of our business accomplishments stored somewhere safely at home as well. And so we see a lot more of that, whether it be PowerPoint presentations or Word documents, and even things like tax files and all kinds of any kind of information that is important to someone's life, is there on the box. But yeah, when we're talking about a NAS, especially for the home, access is a big thing, streaming is a big thing, but really the key selling point is the one that you touched on, and it's almost this insurance concept, this idea that my data is going to be protected no matter what happens. I mean, these are precious photos. You can't recreate those, if they're of your children from 10, 15 years ago. These are precious documents that sometimes, can't be created. So what you basically have with a NAS, we talked about how how each one has multiple bays, 2, 4, 6. So at the first level, you have the opportunity to set up what's called RAID protection.
Okay.
This essentially means that if any one of your drives should die or fail, you don't lose data. It's all protected in the RAID infrastructure. It's as simple as taking out the bad drive, sticking the new one in, and all of this is done in the background, but it basically writes the data across the two devices.
Okay.
A scary reality that a lot of people don't realize, because drives are mechanical, they have a 100% failure rate. Now hopefully that's not this year, hopefully it's not 5 years, 10 years, or even 15 years from now, but at some point they will fail. So having that mechanical, having protection from that mechanical aspect is paramount.
Okay.
The other layer of protection, you know, I have my laptop, you have your smartphone, what have you, there's local storage there. But what if your PC dies? What if your smartphone dies? Or what if the data just gets corrupt? That's where you want that level of file backup. You know, every photograph, every business document, there's another copy sitting on the NAS device. So you have the protection from your device going down. You have protection from the actual drive going down. And one thing that we have brought to the market with our latest version of ReadyNAS is the ability to take continuous and unlimited snapshots, which is we're doing in a way that no other vendor has yet done in the NAS, desktop NAS space.
So a snapshot would be like, let's say for example, I'm editing a photo. I'm using Photoshop or something like that. It's going to save that file at different iterations over time. So I can go back to an hour ago, I can go back to yesterday, I can go back to 3 days ago.
Yep.
So is that actually saving a full copy of that file at each time? That seems like it would eat up a lot of data.
Yeah, it absolutely would. And I think your example is a great one. Whether I'm a photographer, you know, casual photographer, or maybe I do a little graphic design, you know, work on the side, it's very easy to amass a lot of versions of the exact same file. Yeah. So with ReadyNAS and our unlimited snapshot capability, you have the ability you have the ability to set up what we call continuous data protection, and that means that you can have your box take snapshots at any interval that you set. It can be hourly, it can be once a day, it can be once a week, you know, what have you. You can also do manual snapshots. If I just say, hey, I'm working on something really important, I know my last snapshot was 2 hours ago, but I need to make sure it's safe. Okay. So yeah, and snapshot technology means a couple of different things, and has in the storage world for quite some time. One example is the one that you laid out. One set of data today, another set of data tomorrow, another set of data the third day, and all of a sudden I'm out of space. More common in the NAS world is I'm going to take one snapshot, and then tomorrow I'm going to replace that snapshot. So that means if my local device goes down, I still have a copy, but I only have yesterday's copy. Okay. So with unlimited snapshot capability, or what we call continuous data protection, you actually have one master set of data, and then there's an index that's keeping track of all the changes. Okay. So when I go to restore a file, when I say, hey, I don't want yesterday's copy, I want something from 4 weeks ago, I can go down to the, there's basically a calendar view. I can go into the day, I can go down to the hour, I can say, oh, that's the version of the file that I want. I click on it and I can restore it, you know, with a couple of quick clicks.
So you get the ability to go back to any version you want, but it's not actually eating up all the data that it would be if it was making full copies of each one.
Correct. It's incredibly space efficient, because at the end of the day, storage is expensive. I mean, new hardware, anything that we can do to make the storage experience more efficient for our customers is something that we're very interested in.
Okay. Another quick question for you. I am not personally a Mac person, but I know they exist out there. And Time Machine is another very popular feature for actually backing up Macs, at least I assume.
It is.
Is this also compatible with Time Machine? Yeah,
so Time Machine is actually the Mac utility that provides a similar level of continuous data protection once you've enabled it for your MacBook or what have you. So the one kind of drawback to Time Machine is it only works in conjunction with a NAS when you are local to your device. Okay. So if I'm sitting here working out my NAS, you know, no problem. Or if I'm on the same network, maybe it's in the other room, and you know, Time Machine will run in the background, and every hour or every interval, it'll take it'll back up my data. Okay. Where Time Machine doesn't work in conjunction with a NAS is when you are physically not in the same location. So using your same example of, you know, I'm a photographer, maybe I'm a wedding photographer, I'm taking pictures on the other side of the country. I mean, my whole reputation is based on preserving those images. We're not going to stage the wedding a second time, you know, for the purposes of photography.
Yeah, if you need to get a new, you know, a quick reshoot or something.
Well, perhaps, but you know, bringing in all the family and bringing in, you know, all
maybe
the.
a little inconvenient.
So what this photographer can do is maybe he's off in New York, maybe his NAS box is in San Francisco. ReadyNAS is the only NAS platform that allows you to do full remote backup using Apple Time Machine. So we have full integration with Time Machine, and you can continue to back up to your NAS no matter where you happen to be.
Very nice. Now I know there's a couple other features we kind of touched on briefly just to elucidate for specifically for home users. We talked about replication. So let's say I purchase one of these, I have it at my home. We talked about different fail-safes that you have might be in place, let's say for a drive to fail or for a local machine to fail. Let's say worst case scenario, I'm out and there's a fire, something like that. I actually lose my NAS box. How can replication help protect me even in that event? Yeah,
so great question. And this is another example of one of those technologies that's been really common in the business space, but it's just been too expensive or in many cases too complicated to set up for home users. We're trying to change that with this latest version of ReadyNAS. So everything that we talked about before, you know, the 2 bays, the snapshots, that's all basically, you get data protection along with your storage box. So it's, in the past, you had to buy separate software, you had to buy separate hardware, put it together yourself to have a data protection solution. What we're doing with replication, including that with ReadyNAS, is now giving people what we call disaster recovery capability or protection from disaster. I almost look at it as a friends and family type model. I have a brother that, I live in the San Francisco area. My brother lives up in the Seattle area. He has a box at his house, I have a box at mine. I can go in, again, through a web-based portal, it's our ReadyNAS Replicate portal, and I can set up a replication job so that at any, what's the right word?
Interval?
Yeah, any interval that I choose, whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, it'll basically take a same kind of almost snapshot type image and send it to my brother's box. Likewise, his data comes to mine. If somebody breaks into his house, steals his physical device, or decides to take out the disks for whatever reason, he's protected knowing that there's a set of his data at my house. Or in your example, a fire wipes out the entire box, you know that your data is protected. Now, there's a ton of really cool applications for this from a business standpoint. We'll talk about that when we get more to the business side of things. But even for home users now, replication is included with the standard cost of a NAS box.
Okay, so definitely something you might want to look into with a very close friend or family member. Of course, you're going to be sharing your data at both locations, but you get that ability to have it backed up, to have a recovery option, and as you mentioned earlier, you're not necessarily going to be paying for a monthly subscription fee to an actual cloud-based service. You can handle it yourself and you can recover it yourself. So great option there. One last thing to touch on, I think, for home use. We mentioned consolidating all of your photos, your videos, all in one place. How about accessing that data? If I'm remote, I'm on the other side of the country, I'm on a vacation, do I have just as much access to that as if I were actually, say, at home on my laptop connected via Wi-Fi?
Sure. So we have a couple of options when it comes to remote access. And you know, you've really hit on, other than sort of that insurance angle, the other big selling point of NAS devices. It goes back to this idea of customers wanting that cloud experience, the ability to access data anytime, anywhere from any device. Now, I mentioned this ReadyCloud for device setup and discovery. We're trying to make that process a lot easier. The other great thing about ReadyCloud is it's an online portal that allows you full access to all of your data. So I log into the same portal, readycloud.netgear.com, I put in my username and password, and I can see all of the devices associated with my account. Perhaps I have a NAS at home, perhaps I have a NAS maybe at work. I can then drill down into any of those devices. I can see all of the shares that I've created, one for photos, one for video, one for business documents. I can create new shares as well. So even though, again, I'm on the other side of the country, I can be adding shares to my device. I can then drill down even further to the file level. I can see all of the data that's sitting on my NAS, and with the click of a button, download to my local device. almost more, or I think equally impressive or more impressive, is the ability to load data onto the NAS, again, from any web portal. And it's done through drag and drop. So you're not dealing with, kind of confusing drop downs and menus. It's as simple as I grab this file, drag it over and drop it into the browser. It automatically writes to the device.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the final kind of cool thing about ReadyCloud is we talked about all the snapshot capability. You can actually see every snapshot right there through ReadyCloud as well. So it's not only access to today's version of the data, but I can go back to any snapshot in time and restore files using ReadyCloud.
All right, so I think that kind of rounds it out for our summary of why this device would fit into a home use scenario. You have the consolidation of data in one location. You have backup options, redundancy available to make sure your data is safe and secure. And you have the ability to combine, say, a couple of these devices together, maybe one at a family member's house, one at home, so you can have both of those together. And you have the ability to upload or download data to or from the device so that you can remotely access all of your important files. Is that about covered?
Yeah, I mean, it is a mouthful. We feel like we've packed a lot into this box. I think the one area maybe that we haven't talked in as much detail is the media streaming angle. The NETGEAR ReadyNAS devices do come standard with compatibility as an iTunes server, and also with Plex for media streaming. So, regardless of what type of media files you have sitting on your NAS, you can easily stream them to whether it be your smart TV, or you can stream them to your iPhone, you can stream them to your tablet. They also come standard with a feature that we call ReadyDLNA. So a lot of people are familiar with DLNA and kind of DLNA servers. What ReadyDLNA allows you to do is stream directly from your NAS to your iPhone or your tablet, again, kind of no matter where you are. So anything you're looking to do from a media streaming standpoint, ReadyNAS has you covered. We also talked a little bit about the cloud experience and kind of interaction with the cloud. A lot of people are really getting into using Dropbox regularly, SugarSync, some different tools like that. ReadyNAS also comes standard with a feature called ReadyDROP, and ReadyDROP is essentially our file synchronization tool. For instance, with a Dropbox, you do have to pay, for your capacity. You also have to trust that your data is going to be safe on someone else's servers. With ReadyDROP, the data sits on your device, but anything you put in the ReadyDROP folder syncs to your associated devices. So I have a ReadyDROP folder on my iPhone, I have a ReadyDROP folder on my Galaxy tablet. Anything that I put into the ReadyDROP folder automatically appears on those other devices. So yeah, a lot of home applications.
Make sure you have synchronization across all those devices. All right, so that kind of wraps up our coverage of the home use scenario. Next, we're going to move on to business use scenarios. So if you have a small business, small to medium business, I should say, if you work from home or if you have a small office, there's a lot of features from ReadyNAS that can also assist with that. Where should we begin?
Yeah, it's a big question. When you really boil it down, we find that our users in the business world are looking to a NAS for kind of four main solution areas. The first is file sharing. The second is backup. Third, disaster recovery, and then the fourth would be virtualization needs. And when we talked a little bit earlier, we talked a little bit about file sharing, backup, and even a little bit of disaster recovery. Again, the underlying principles remain the same. The stakes sometimes are a little bit higher in the business arena, and the applications kind of tend to get a little bit more creative or a little bit more specialized in a lot of cases.
I imagine there might also be some added complexity when you're interacting with, say, a work domain or something like that.
Yeah, there is, and yeah, to that point, a lot of businesses are looking for full integration with Active Directory, for instance, which ReadyNAS does feature on all the devices. Maybe the best way to kind of tackle this, I mean, first and foremost, from a file sharing platform. We talk about ReadyNAS as a NAS device, and it is, it's network attached storage, but it really is a unified platform, meaning that it has all the protocols necessary to work as both NAS and SAN, storage area network. Along with that, because it's a unified platform, it has all the protocols for file sharing between PCs, between Mac devices, and also between Linux machines. So if you're looking for primary storage for a small office, pretty much any of your storage needs can be covered by a ReadyNAS device. everybody can access all the same files, everybody can save. You have full capabilities for setting up user groups and setting up permissions and restricting certain files and that type of a thing. From a backup standpoint, as I say, I mean, we all feel that our precious data, our photographs and whatnot, are they're of paramount importance to us. When it comes to business, a lot of times the loss of data can translate directly into dollars and cents.
Yes.
And the overall viability of the business. So making sure that you have a robust platform for backup is pretty much standard operating procedure, or at least it should be in any business environment. That's really where ReadyNAS shines, to have a local device for file sharing, but then also the ability for everyone in the office to be backing up their files.
Now, you mentioned backup and storage obviously is of paramount importance to a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses have to deal with scaling concerns. Yeah. As a business grows, you might need more storage. And then we mentioned, going back to the redundancy thing, you guys have a RAID configuration in here. How does the RAID configuration with the ReadyNAS devices work? And would it be compatible with scaling if, say, I was getting low on space and I wanted to add more in the future? Yeah,
great question, because that is one of the most common things. It's a crazy world we live in. There's so much data being generated so fast. I mean, everybody's carrying a computer in their pocket. Everybody, has, in many cases, not everybody, but a lot of people are carrying multiple devices, the tablet, the PC, and there's just so much data being thrown around that it's really easy to underestimate what your needs are. And we understand that when a customer is investing in a NAS, whether it be a 4-bay box, a 6-bay, and we also have rack mount versions of this for business as well, they tend to underestimate what their real data needs are going to be. And so for just that reason, we try to make the platform as expandable as possible. Okay. We have a technology called X-RAID 2, which allows you to essentially add drives on the fly. So you don't have to shut down the machine, you don't have to bring anything down. If you have an empty bay, you just slide in a new drive, and whatever RAID characteristics you've already determined, it gets built out in the background. So currently, maybe it's a 4-bay device with 2 disks. All the data is being shared between those 2 disks. You slip in a third, and now it's going to, bring the third drive essentially into the mix. Now, again, this is the kind of technology that was pretty complicated a few years back. You needed to have either a degree in information science or have done it for a number of years. What we've done with X-RAID 2 is taken all the configuration out of it. I mean, it's this simple, couple of check boxes through the through the GUI, and the RAID essentially sets up in the background, giving you the redundancy that you need.
Awesome.
Yeah, and all the principles we talked about. I mean, the backup in case local data disappears, the RAID in case a drive fails, the ability to take snapshots of your device, take snapshots of your files. All of the same principles apply, but in a business environment, rather than having 1 or 2 users, you're talking about 20, 30, 50, 100 users. So you would think that there's a lot more complexity. But the beauty of the ReadyNAS the new ReadyNAS operating system is the tools are exactly the same. You can go deep into a lot of the admin tools if that's something that you want to do. But at the surface level, very easy to understand, very easy to turn all of these functions on and off, and you have a really nice seamless experience.
Okay. Now another question about interoperability as we talk about using this in a business environment. A lot of businesses will have, say, a centralized server set up with client machines that access it. How could a ReadyNAS tie in with that kind of configuration? Yeah,
so a ReadyNAS would essentially act as your back-end storage for the entire network, meaning that you can create shares on there and have just the marketing department share, and you can have the finance department share. I mean, it's essentially your storage backbone for the entire environment.
Okay, so you have easy integration. Let's say server operating systems that are already out there, whether it be Microsoft, VMware. Is this going to work easily with those?
Yeah, so a lot of small. So virtualization is another one of those areas where the large businesses were kind of on the cutting edge. It was maybe a little expensive, a little complicated for small businesses, but it's quickly taking over just about everywhere in the IT world. So yeah, every ReadyNAS device has full certifications with VMware, vSphere, also with Microsoft Hyper-V, Citrix Zen Server. All the devices, even down to the low-end 100 series, are compatible with iSCSI as well. So we often see ReadyNAS boxes used even as primary storage in virtual environments for small offices.
Okay.
As offices get a little bit larger, we tend to see ReadyNAS used as backups for full virtual images, virtual machines, and that type of thing. That's also where the snapshot capability can really shine, because you have the ability to take snapshots of full VMs and some of the things in that realm.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about file sharing, we talked about backup, we jumped to virtualization. The other big piece is that disaster recovery.
I missed number 3.
Well, we talked about it a lot on
Yes.
the friends and family kind of
did.
model. But there's actually something that we see with a lot of ReadyNAS that sort of combines the backup and disaster recovery space. And that, again, is this replication technology. Okay. So what we see now, just for comparison purposes, in our old version of ReadyNAS, we charged as much as $200 or $300 per ReadyNAS box for a replication license. So we're no longer charging that. It's all built in to the operating system, and is just part of the cost of the ReadyNAS. But what our replication technology allows you to do is, let's say I own 4 Subway franchises. I got people out there making sandwiches, and I manage it all from my home office. Now, I still have data that needs to get back and forth. I need, customer transaction, whatever the data is at, point of sale information. What I can do is take a little box, stick it in the closet there at the location with a big sign on it that says "Do not touch" under any circumstances. I mean, your specialty is making sandwiches. Don't mess around with the IT.
Unless they're studying IT.
Well, you never know. But so I have 4 different locations. I have small boxes at each location. I then have maybe a 300 or 500 series at my home office. I can set up replication jobs so that the data comes back every night from each of those locations. Okay. I can manage it all there from my office. The other cool thing with ReadyNAS Replicate is that it is all handled through the cloud as well. So I can go to an online portal. I don't actually have to go out to franchise 1, franchise 2, franchise 3, and whenever any changes need to be made. It's as simple as going into the portal, seeing all the devices, and making sure that the data comes back.
So a great example of using replication in an actual deployment scenario to back up all of your data to a central location, even if the remote locations also have their own ReadyNAS devices, which are storing data there as well.
Exactly, and obviously, the Subway dealership, franchise, maybe they don't have a lot of data needs. But if we're talking about, something like a law firm with multiple offices, we're talking about an insurance, company with multiple offices, they need to have a local device for fast access to files. They need to have a local device for sharing files amongst the office. But if I'm kind of managing the entire operation, I want to know, one, I want access to the data myself locally, so the replication works in that case. And then 2, we talked about the flood, we talked about the fire, we talked about the theft. If something should happen at that remote office to their device, they can rest assured knowing that there's a second set of data being contained off-site. The other nice thing is, in a remote office situation, the replication is not limited to just one-way replication. So I can actually have all 4 of the offices replicating to each other for file sharing purposes. Maybe it's an architecture firm and they're working on common files and that type of a thing.
Very nice.
So yeah, we're really excited about the replication aspect of ReadyNAS.
Seems like it adds a lot of flexibility, especially if you want to combine multiple devices of these in multiple locations and have them all speak with one another to make sure that they're all in sync.
Exactly. And that's why with kind of ReadyNAS OS 6, we really feel like the difference, not only from our old ReadyNAS models, but really when you look at ReadyNAS stacked up against kind of the other NAS vendors, we're going beyond just having a simple box for storage. And by that, I mean we have the unlimited snapshots for data protection. We have the replication technology for disaster recovery. One other piece that we didn't touch on that's relevant both to home and business use is we also include real-time antivirus standard with every box. So this isn't the old world where I'm working on something on my computer, a screen pops up and says, oh hey, I need to run a scan, so I'm going to hold you hostage for the next 4 hours. You're not going to be able to do anything else, or your system's going to crawl to a standstill. What we do is actually read each file. We check each file as it's written to the NAS box. So that when we say real-time antivirus, that's what we're talking about. There's no additional cost for that. So it's the only NAS box in the space that does real-time antivirus with no additional cost.
Very nice.
Yeah, so again, you get your basic storage, but you're also getting data protection. You're also getting disaster recovery. You're also getting threat protection. It's way more than just a dumb storage, if you will.
And you get the antivirus on top of all of that. I think we've covered just about it. Were there any closing points that we wanted to make? I know we might.
Yeah, you're right. We have covered a ton of ground. And I think, overall, we just really want, people that are looking for a simple storage solution to understand that NAS is something that doesn't need to be intimidating. It's really easy to set up. From a cost standpoint, the cost has come down considerably, and the fact that we're including a lot of this stuff, the antivirus, the data protection, it means that you only need to make the investment, one time. The GUI could not be easier to use. I mean, we're going with a very kind of flat, clean, easy to understand, kind of right out of the gate look. The only other piece that I do want to call some attention to is recently at NETGEAR we launched an initiative called the Genie Plus Marketplace. Okay. And Genie Plus Marketplace is essentially an app store. It's similar to iTunes. It's similar maybe to your Android store, but it's designed exclusively for NETGEAR devices. Okay. So we're doing some really creative things, for instance, with routers that have storage on board. And these are actually apps that will work with your routers, maybe to help you with printing functions, maybe help you with sharing functions, monitor speed, that type of thing. One thing that we've had a real strong reputation for in the ReadyNAS world is the ability to add on to the ReadyNAS box. It's been a real kind of an open platform in that sense. That's all been handled through our ReadyNAS.com forum. What we're doing now is bringing all of that access to those great add-ons into this Genie Plus Marketplace. Okay. So right from the main GUI, you kind of click on add-ons, you go in, and there you have a whole collection of things. You can use your NAS as a network video recorder for IP surveillance. Okay. So maybe you want to keep an eye on your front door, see who's coming in at night. It's as simple as clicking install, and in some cases the add-on applications do include a fee, but it's very similar to what you'll find in kind of an iTunes or an Android marketplace.
So are you guys looking forward to continued app development as these new products mature, adding additional functionality?
So that's the really exciting thing. The whole reason that we built this platform was to give developers an opportunity to reach our entire NETGEAR user base. And so yes, we've had a great deal of interest. I mean, last time I was talking with the Genie Plus guys, I was hearing 700 plus developers expressing an interest in developing for the Genie Plus Marketplace. So we expect it's just going to explode. I don't have a lot of details now, but we did recently announce, and you can check out the details on netgear.com, a $1 million app challenge. Oh. So we are putting the call out there for developers to come up with the best app, and there's a little bit of a competition going on. So we expected the number of apps and the quality of apps to rise dramatically over the coming months.
So apart from all the features we've already discussed here that you can use this, whether you're talking about at home or in the office, there might be additional functionality still yet to come.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a maybe. There absolutely will be additional functionality. Nice. I mean, I think right now we have somewhere between I think in the 30 to 40 range of apps. One other thing you will see with some of the other NAS vendors, they have an app for antivirus, or they have an app for snapshots, or they have an app. What we really tried to do was take the key functionality, things like data protection, things like disaster recovery, things like using media serving, whether it be iTunes. We don't really refer to those as apps because they're built right into the firmware. You open up the box, they're already there. You don't have to worry about downloading, you don't have to worry about configuration.
That should be kind of your baseline functionality right there.
Exactly. Okay. And so that is one thing that you will see with a lot of the other NASs out there is, oh yeah, they have a ton of apps, but the reality is the apps that they're offering are things that come standard on a ReadyNAS box. Nice. And then the apps that we are creating are really above and beyond, to kind of enhance the experience.
And maybe a bit more specialized depending on whether or not you have a surveillance system at home or something.
Exactly, or depending on what it is that you're trying to do.
Excellent. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. Matt, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, Paul.
Sharing all this information. I know it's been a ton, but hopefully you guys at home now have a better idea of the available products in the ReadyNAS line, as well as what they're capable of, whether you're talking at home, business use, or all the added functionality we expect still to come from the apps. Thanks to all you guys for watching this video. Of course, if you'd like to see more videos, you can find them on our Newegg TV YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this video if you found all the information useful, and don't forget to subscribe to Newegg TV. We'll see you all in the next video.